All right, folks, today I have the absolute pleasure of welcoming a good friend, Patrick Riley, someone who we met a couple years ago when he was getting his little project started. But we cannot underestimate Patrick. He has proven me wrong time and time again here as he just continues to build all through 2021, all through this bear market, still pushing. We have a special new project and company that we're going to be adding to the powerhouse stack of offerings from the broader Reaper Financial Company. So thank you for joining me today, Patrick. It's a pleasure to have you.
Oh, thank you, Zach. You're too kind, and I didn't know you doubted me, but here we are. So,
Well, I didn't doubt you. I should have had you back on. It was been a while since we've had you on, and in the meantime, you guys have been just building like crazy over there. And I want to commend you. And as I always say, anyone who's building real utility on the XRPL, they got a spot on my show, and you just continue to double down. So let's run through it. We're going to cover what's been taking place with Reaper, Ascension, Arc, and then I'm going to let you reveal the new one, give you a little teaser of what's coming in for 2024. An exciting time to be in the broader crypto space. Huge run-up taking place, obviously, with the narratives and the pump that's taking place. The excitement is back. I continue to watch out for some scenarios here. We're going to get into the broader macro topics later. I wanted to start, though, by getting the update on what you guys have been working on over there at Reaper.
sure. So first, I just want to throw it out there that Reaper, as well as Ascension Index and Arc Institute, are all under a Tomb Industries umbrella now. So that's our parent company. So you'll hear that floating around a little bit. But when we're talking about the RES, which we used to call the Reaper economic system, is now the Riley economic system. It's not my doing, but it's a little friendlier to the other companies. So with Reaper Financial, we were already into phase 3, which is we go out and we buy other tokens. We destroy them based on the blockchain voting mechanisms of our users, based on your holdings, where one token's one vote. And then we got into reaping multiple tokens where every single vote counts. And we're also paying a passive income in XRP. So we've been doing that for over a year and a half without any flaws, hiccups, or
and I gotta say, Patrick, you're the only project that's paying me any sort of something, and that's because I don't really play around with too much of the DeFi crap, but I have been getting my drip, and I want to say thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And if anyone else can tell me another project that is actually paying out in XRP, I'd love to know about it. But the reality is most DeFis fail because they're tokenomics. They fail before they ever launch because they're black hole. They're locked into a certain number of tokens and they're paying out in that token. The only way you make anything is by selling against the market. So as you're making it, you're actually hurting the price. So you're not making anything at all. That's what happened with Songbird and Flare and most of these other DeFi assets out there. We don't do that. We don't do staking. You have to use self-custody. And simply by reading the ledger, we're going to send you a passive income in XRP because you hold our token, as long as it's self-custodied. If you're on Bitrue or one of the exchanges, they don't unfortunately honor that because, of course, they mix all those wallets together, so you're never going to get it. So self-custody, you're good to go. So now what we're moving into is really our keystone product for the entire ecosystem, which is debt reaping. So now instead of just the token that you want to vote for, and now with our integrated system that we're using now, you can vote for multiple tokens and spread your vote out. But you'll also be pulling in your liabilities, so your debt account with your mortgage, your student loan, your car note, anything of that nature. And when you pull that into our system, we're reading your account number and routing number, and we're going to see your balance, and we're going to be sending, based on your vote, payments directly to your debt. So that enables an entirely new way to use cryptocurrency. You're not losing anything. You're holding your funds. We don't even charge you for the vote anymore because it's a walled garden. So unfortunately, it is not transparent on the blockchain. That's what comes through the upgrade is that we can no longer vote on the blockchain because we have associated KYC, AML data, and as well as your bank account information. So, of course, all those things are encrypted. But now you can vote for your individual accounts, and we're going to make payments directly to your bank, not to your checking or your debit, but directly to that debt and make payments towards it. So this is an entirely new way to manage debt, an entirely new way to use DeFi. And if I put that in perspective, just $100 extra per month on a 30-year mortgage will pay that mortgage off about 7 years early. So by simply holding some RPR and putting it against your car note, putting it against your mortgage, you're going to put yourself in a much better financial position, and you don't lose your holdings. They're completely within your control. You can come and go, sell at any time, and we're still going to pay you XRP just for holding.
Patrick, I don't know anybody that has any debt. Who needs that utility? What are you talking about?
Oh, it's just 33, 34 trillion. I haven't looked today.
And Mr. Biden's going to forgive it all. So, I mean, what are you playing around over there doing?
Yeah.
So, okay, this is awesome. So you've transitioned. Let me clarify this. So you've transitioned. So now you're not voting on the blockchain. You're voting through your website, your systems.
That's correct. So there is a debt reaping application that is a web application, and basically it's a fully encrypted, enclosed, walled garden where you are voting inside of that application, but you are logging in with your XM or your XRP ledger address. And once you're logged in, we're reading your balance, and based on your balance, you are able to vote on your debts and other tokens.
So now we can vote on tokens, we can vote on debt. Are you going to set up a new blockchain voting system for us too? Are you really saving the country here?
I'm trying to in my own roundabout kind of way. Someone has to do it.
Amen. Amen. Okay, so that's just with Reaper. Love to see it. Let's talk about Ascension next. And this is what I mean. I wasn't doubting you. I was sleeping on you. And this is where I missed ARC. This is where I missed Ascension. And now I'm sitting here with massive FOMO. But please explain what you guys have been up to over there.
So with Ascension, we're actually paying out multiple currencies, which right now we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, which are wrapped XRP currencies. Now, we do intend to add the real thing in the future, but bear in mind, if you're getting the real thing, you're also getting higher fees that come with Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin. But currently, we're sending the wrapped versions as well as Sologenic, Corium, and quite a few of the smaller XRP ledger tokens. So I think it's about 10 different tokens right now. Some may come, some may go as they meet our standards or fall under them. And then what we're doing in the very near future is we'll be sending physical bullion and physical silver to Ascension holders. So again, you simply self-custody Ascension ASC token. We read your balance, and based on your balance, we are sending you these other currencies. You just have to have the trust line set up. Every 2 weeks, we're going to send you drops. We also have a partnership with StakeX, a great company out of Australia. And with StakeX, they're able to drop daily passive income on those same tokens and currencies. Now, with the gold and silver, you're going to get basically a claim ticket that you'll be able to use and redeem with us on our website, shop.ascensionindex.com. And when you'll go there, you'll redeem what you've earned for bullion. So you'll get 1 ounce silver, 1 ounce gold. All you're going to pay is shipping and handling. We send it out to you.
Wow. You're getting my attention now. When we start to mix the digital assets with the precious metals and excuse me, any real world commodity for that matter, as we tokenize out this internet of value, this is so exciting to see. And can you speak on, I saw that you guys just did a limited edition, couple hundred silver ounce coins that you were sending out. Can you explain what happened there?
So we have a limited run Reaper Treasure, which is 200 numbered coins. The coins themselves are numbered on the back, laser etched, and then the front is pressed. And these are 1 ounce, 0.999 silver rounds. And then with that, the box is also numbered, and the certificate of authenticity, which is signed by myself as well as the CEO of Ascension Index. Just so I could throw this out there, I am not running all of these companies by myself. I have a team of people that are helping me and assisting in all of these things. So Elaine Diane Taylor's the CEO of Ascension Index, and she helped put this together. And then I actually hand assembled the boxes and the placards and stained them myself, and that was a lot of fun. But we are, to be clear, a startup stage where I'm still doing those types of things. However, we're moving fast.
Yeah, I was impressed. I just ran across that on Twitter. It was Elaine's Twitter profile. And I saw all these cool little things you guys were sending out there. They looked fantastic. And so I gave her a follow, and I've been trying to catch up because, yeah, now you got some new companies, some new projects, new team members, and I've just been getting caught up to speed in anticipation of this interview. Now, this is very exciting stuff here. You also have ARC. Is there an update that you have for us in regards to ARC?
So ARC Institute is now in the marketing phase. Basically, it's phase 2, where it's going to start marketing to specific charities. So what ARC Institute does is, again, you hold the token, we pay you a passive income. For holding ARC, we pay you currently in Ascension and Reaper token, which is purchased at market every 2 weeks and sent to you. So what you're able to do with ARC is you vote on charities. So those charities, we're sending them every 2 weeks a donation on the voters' behalf. And right now we have it's Innocence Project, Battle Dogs, Raising Men and Women Lawn Care, and I'm forgetting one. I always forget one. It's never the same one. We have some great charities, and we send them money, and they're all very highly vetted through our gates that can be reviewed on the ARC Institute website. And what we're doing now is we're going to go out and market to specific charities, and we're going to allow those charities to get the full benefit of holding ARC, which is they will get the passive income, but they will also get the donation directly to themselves every 2 weeks. So that allows a charity to turn what is, a temporary assistance from a donor into a long-term passive income stream for that charity. So we actually have a meeting with a pretty large franchise coming up here next week, and we're very optimistic that they'll appreciate the product that we're offering.
Wow. Yeah, we're excited to hear about that. Now you're not done yet, though. You got one more that you said you were going to tease at us today. What one would that be?
So the next one is going to be a direct competitor with X or Twitter, which is crypto Twitter, where we all know and love. And it's a form of social media using a modified version of the RES. So right now on Twitter, if you want to get paid to use Twitter, you have to have quite a few followers, and most of those people end up there by false information. People like Ben Armstrong, who just go out there and shill nonsense, right? That's not Zach, but there's crypto influencers out there with no real credibility, and all they do is give hopium, and they rise to the top of Twitter, and then they get paid for it. And it pays them to continue to lie to you without.
It doesn't pay to be a real one on Twitter. I can tell you that right now. My $20 a month is not moving the needle.
No, it's not, right? So what we're going to do is we're creating a finance-specific ecosystem that will be a social media where users can go and you get paid to engage with that social media. So every time you do a login for the day, every time you read a news article, every time you take a survey, you're going to get paid in XRP for doing that. So that's also, there'll be rating systems and ways for those people who are most credible to go to the top. So say Zach Rector makes a prediction about where XRP is going to be next year. Once that prediction passes the date of the prediction that he set in his original prediction, his followers can go in and rank it and rate it as true to false on a scale. And we'll know, is Zach Rector good? Is he a person we want to follow? Is he a subject matter expert? Or is he kind of off sometimes. And that will allow us to, we all have our moments, right? But that will allow us to push those people who really know what they're talking about up to the top as subject matter experts. It will give the tokens and the projects in the ecosystem a specific place to go to do press releases, to do news stories, and to engage with a community that is being paid to follow them. Yeah. So with Twitter and Facebook and all these other social medias, there's a huge bot problem. So bots are a problem because none of those users are necessarily verified. In our situation and the way that we're doing the tokenomics, there really can't be bots because the bots would have to both buy the token and engage actively on the system to get any payment for it. So every single user will be verified. We'll know exactly how much they're engaging. And that's something we can sell to advertisers. So we will be selling to regular Amazon, Walmart, whatever it may be. And those ad revenues are what we will be sharing 50% with the users of the site. So in that way, we will be able to encourage an entirely new ecosystem and social media, specifically crypto friendly, as well as gold, silver, and with discussions on important topics like BRICS and treasuries and all those things we all want to know about.
And the riddlers can come on over and put their riddles up, and riddlers like myself, we can see how good of our predictions come through, how well that works out. That's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of influencers that are scared to go over there,
and that will be telling.
They're gonna be scared to go. They're gonna run away from that one. I'll be happy to come on over. That sounds fun. Sounds like a good time. Absolutely. So can you share any 2024 goals for the broader Reaper ecosystem? I guess you now said it's called the Riley ecosystem. Or economic system. So what are the 2024 goals? What are you guys looking to accomplish this next year?
So now that our debt reaping system is going live, the most important thing for us to do is really to start paying ourselves, start paying the employees. I have not paid myself yet. None of our employees have been paid yet for being a part of this ecosystem. So really, we have to start looking at how we grow this into a profitable machine of a company that will continue to grow. So with that, we've scaled back everybody to minimum staff as we launch this system, and then we're going to start scaling out. So we'll be hiring a digital marketing director. We'll be hiring onboard dev teams, the whole bit. So really, this is a growth year for us, and we're looking forward to the sprint. We do expect great things from XRP, of course, and with the permanent drip fund that currently is in around 421,000 XRP. That fund is balanced typically against a stable coin, but right now it is completely in XRP because we have faith in this broader ecosystem that we are a part of. So once that accumulates in value, it will back Reaper itself. So there is an XRP asset backing for RPR token as well as Ascension token, and it creates a bottom. So as XRP goes up, right now the price would be $5.71 would be the bottom price, where if XRP reached that, we would put a limit buy order on the market, and anyone who chose to sell their RPR at that point would sell into that buy order because we'd have a buy order for the entire supply, and whatever they sold would be burned. So we would maintain that bottom value. Now, as we eventually approach that peak or that parabolic influx of XRP price, we will rebalance the system. And then when we go into the next bear market, we'll be working with a lot more ammunition. So really, it's a ladder system where whether it goes up or it goes down, eventually we go up. And I'm not saying in price. I can't promise that because that's FUBAR these days, but we are designed to succeed.
Right. Yeah, and this is the thing, is one of the few projects that is building something that's actually interesting and actually solves a real problem. Obviously, with a few different facets of the economic system that you've created here, I was not expecting it to be a social media platform as the 4th edition, as we're getting ready, and you said that you have a little sneak peek at what's coming. I did not expect a competitor to X. Still feels weird calling it X instead of Twitter, but nonetheless, exciting stuff. I'm excited to see the progress there. I wanted to ask you a few questions on the broader XRP Ledger ecosystem as someone who's definitely clearly involved, clearly has a stake, just a few XRP. What are your thoughts on this Zahao side ledger? Do you guys have any chance, are you guys going to be doing anything with that ledger? What are your thoughts on that?
So we took a look at it as it came out. I wasn't terribly impressed with the launch of the system, not to say that it was a problem with the design or the mechanics of it, but more so the publication of the launch was very confusing to a lot of users, and people were attacking it because they wanted them to burn XRP, and other people were burning their XRP and not understanding what they were doing when they did that. So I think it was a little bit messy, if I'm honest. That aside, I think it's probably the first of many side chains to the XRP ledger that will have hooks and in the future smart contracts. So I'm excited to see what it does, but I'm not in it yet, and I'm not looking to be in it yet. One of the reasons I chose the XRP ledger was because it had never had Solana issues of going down multiple times, and it had been live without any instability for over 10 years by the time I got there. So that said, I think it's actually 8 years. I'll correct myself there. But that said, I'm not going to jump into anything that's a couple months old and put our users at risk.
You didn't want to burn any of your XRP, your new world reserve currency for, well, it was going to be XRP plus, as you mentioned, the confusion. Now it is the Zahao token, the ZA. So you guys no burning over there?
So no burning, but the bigger problem, and I alluded to this with other DeFi tokens and Flare and Songbird, is that I'll just say this unhumbly, that 99% of creators of tokens and cryptocurrencies out there have no grasp whatsoever of tokenomics. So what Zahao could have done is taken that XRP that was being sent to them, and they could have backed their ecosystem in exactly the same way the permanent drip fund did. So instead of burning it, it was a bottom supporting the value of Zahao. But now the bottom is zero because there's nothing behind it. That was pointless. There was no reason to do it. So that to me says there's a disconnect somewhere, that somebody is not thinking very clearly about how this needs to run in the future if they couldn't even launch from the beginning without a massive mistake.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, because you're spot on, and I agree. I was talking to some of these developers and I said, why don't you guys leave that burn to mint function going forever so that you always have that bridge, that capability? And they told me that it's because they wanted to be able to disconnect from the price of XRP, and they thought that would hold back the price of XRP plus or Zahao tokens, because it would always be pegged to XRP and it wouldn't be able to be set free. Now, recently we did actually see the Zahao token did run up and actually got close. I think I forget how high it went.
I think it was like 52 cents for a second.
It approached. And then somebody dumped. No one's saying who.
Yeah, and of course the fact they gave 600 million tokens to various creators, and I don't know who all, or that sort of thing, but when people are being given tokens for free and other people are burning XRP for it, it just doesn't set a good precedent.
Yeah, and the way I looked at it, I said, if you left that burn to mint function, at least you would have Zahao pegged to something. You would have set something there, and I'm not going to stop anybody from burning their world reserve currency. If you want to destroy your reserve currency and make mine more scarce, thank you for playing. I'm not here to stop them, but obviously they didn't make that decision. They did the limited supply. It's going to be interesting. And let's get back to the topic. As you stated, there's going to be many sidechains coming, and what I'm excited for is this EVM sidechain. I think this is going to be just massive for the XRPL ecosystem. Being able to bring any ERC20 token, any EVM contract to the XRP ledger and settle up with XRP right away is a major, major utility and use case for our ecosystem. And what I love about it is you don't have to rewrite the code. You don't have to start from the ground up like they're doing with the Zahao. You already have all the smart contracts that are written in EVM. You already have, well, tens of thousands of tokens that'll probably go to zero, but nonetheless, you have plenty of value that you can bring over here and settle up instantaneously. Your thoughts on the EVM sidechain?
Yeah, I think that's the right ticket because I did an analysis a couple weeks back about what I do expect from XRP going into 2024. And one of the things I'm expecting very realistically during this bull run is that XRP will surpass Bitcoin as the #1 cryptocurrency. That's not to say Bitcoin fails, but I expect XRP to pass it.
Thank you, Pat. I love when you give me something that I can put in that title. I might have to redo the thumbnail for this one. XRP will take the #1 spot. That's exactly what I needed from you, Patrick.
It absolutely will. You know, it may or may not be this year. I expect it to be this year, but it absolutely will. Now, that said, Ethereum, which is kind of a dying horse that's been limping along for a long time, and everything that Vitalik Buterin was always he was always a shoot first, aim second type of person, and his aim was never further than 6 months out. JP Morgan themselves said they were disappointed in V2 of Ethereum, and Kevin O'Leary said it's still too slow. So I think there's a lot of harbingers out there for Ethereum. It's just too slow. It's too expensive. The network doesn't function properly. Solana, obviously, the network doesn't function properly. And, you know, Bitcoin is still going to be Bitcoin, but it just doesn't have that liquidity. It doesn't have microtransactions. It doesn't have smart contracts. It doesn't have any of those things. So when EVM sidechain comes to XRP, I think there'll be a whole lot of those going to zero ERC20 tokens. But every single one that has a competent team is going to look at, oh, well, here's XRP. We can do this faster. We can do this cheaper. We can switch over. So I expect a lot of those tokens to come over to the XRP ledger. I believe Casino Coin was probably a pioneer in doing so. They switched over rather early, but they're definitely not the last.
Even though Daniel won't vote for AMM, you know, I guess we still, we'll give him credit for that.
Yeah.
And speaking on the AMM, and before I move to that, the cross-chain bridge XLS38D with the EVM sidechain, you don't, I can't say you don't need anything else, but once you have that in place, and this is what I've been saying about the XRP Ledger ecosystem and our developers, I'd rather be late to NFTs, to AMM, to DeFi, and cross-chain bridges, and get it done right, where we don't pull a Solana every week and go down, where we don't pull the whole ERC20 space that was literally just scam tokens and rug pulls and bridges being hacked every single week. And you're already starting to see that come back, and our community needs to stay safe because the XRP community is definitely going to be under attack. Do you have some to add?
Yeah, and being fair, let's be completely fair that the XRP ledger has seen its fair share of scam tokens and rug pulls for the last couple of years, and it is most likely going to get worse as we grow. 100%. So just, you know, please be careful. Please do research. I'm not saying that selfishly that you should, you know, go into my token ecosystem. I'm just saying there's a lot of bombs out there. Try not to step on one.
Yeah, and that's the thing with open source permissionless technology. We saw so many projects come on in 2021 when folks figured out, oh, wait, I can come launch a token on the XRPL for free. And it's going to continue. It is going to come back, especially into this next bull run. But to your point, when you can come to the XRPL, it has 10 years, 10 plus years of uptime, just working essentially flawlessly for the most part. But our developers, God bless them for running through this thing, you know, breaking it, and fixing everything here before they bring it online. Yes, we're slow. Yes, we're late, but we're doing it right. And that's what I love to see that's taking place with the XRPL. And so the next amendment that we're all looking at that we're very excited about is the AMM. It's at, I think, 16 or 17 votes right now. It's approaching that 50% consensus. Obviously, we need to get to 80%, lock that in for 2 weeks to get the amendment accepted on the XRPL. But I am so excited for this AMM that is going to make the XRPL DEX even more efficient. Your thoughts, Patrick?
Yeah, absolutely. For us, there's some applied use cases with the permanent drip fund and the permanent rain fund where we'll be able to use those to generate interest, and that interest will be paid out to our holders. So, of course, that's a huge plus for us moving forward. But the bigger thing is if the AMM can also function on the BitTrues and the upholds, then it's going to open a whole other world of exchange listings for XRPL tokens that are currently not on exchanges, primarily because of volume. So just throwing this out there for maybe some of the people that don't know, even if you've been in the market for a while, you might not know this. But most exchanges are only going to take from your token. They're going to charge them to run an automated market maker. And those charges can run anywhere from a couple $1,000s a month to $30,000 a month, which means they're faking their volume anyways. Those exchanges generally don't help the token much at all. And the automated market maker that they are using is a version that is only going to buy when it is down and dump when it goes up. So in that situation, you're really suppressing the price. The XLS30 AMM is not that at all. It functions very differently, and it will definitely be a plus in the whole ecosystem.
And to add on to that, for me, I'm excited because we just got the announcement from Ripple that they're moving some of their on-demand liquidity flows to the DEX. And then obviously they've been behind the push for AMM pretty heavy, unlike any other amendment really in the past. And clearly that's going to plug into their business right there. I've been considering and speculating on Ripple and some of their on-demand liquidity partners moving big chunks of volume over to the AMM, to where we're going to see these liquidity pools build up pretty quickly, but be sustained, where we won't have to worry about that liquidity getting pulled. Your thoughts on the potential for Ripple and their on-demand liquidity partners to start moving into that AMM after it goes live?
Yeah, so I'm watching Medico very closely as their token custody partner, and Medico may be a potential third party to manage our permanent drip fund in the future. So there's things like that we watch very closely. So if that's the case, then institutional money that wants to give returns or basically stake, they're going to be looking at this AMM as an option, because I almost guarantee this AMM is going to be a better option than staking that was seen through, Circle and these other many companies that got in trouble with the SEC, because specifically it's XRP, and that gives them the ability to have legal protection moving forward. So any company that wants to give a return on investment once AMM goes live on the XRP ledger, the safest place to do so is the XRP ledger.
Yeah, and I suspect, you're talking about the exchanges. Where I see this going is after this gets implemented, they're going to give the simple, just click the button to start receiving 4% on your XRP or 5%, whatever it is. And they're going to make that simplified. Is that going to be the best way to do it, the safest way? That's a different story. But as far as adoption of the XRPL ecosystem, when the kids that are scrolling through their app can say, oh, I can finally stake, I can get some yield, passive income, bro, they can click the button and get it done. And that's what people want, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I do expect that over the next bull run, we'll see quite a few exchanges failing. So please get your tokens, your coins, your whatever you have off of the exchange whenever possible. Don't store or hold things on an exchange when you can avoid it. The reason that so many are going to start dying is because the only reason they exist in the first place is as an on-ramp and a place with that liquidity, that AMM, which their version of an AMM, I'm choking on it because it's so vile. It's predatory. So this is not a predatory AMM on the XRP ledger. And because of that, simple apps like Exum or Decent Wallet or I'm forgetting the on-chain one, but so they'll be able to provide just as much service and potential as the exchange is providing, and none of the downside. So I do expect a lot of exchanges to go away.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to be able to put together content for our community to help them understand how to do this themselves, because we have so many people that are going to need to just figure out how to buy off the exchange, how to do some self-custody. But then when you want to start playing around with the AMMs and the DeFi that's coming, and I believe that the DeFi that's coming to the XRPL is going to be massive, because it's not going to just be kids and crypto bros trying to create little yield schemes, i.e. decentralized Ponzi schemes, which was what most of the DeFi space was. And that's why 90% of it blew up. Versus respectable businesses and institutions coming to the XRPL. They're going to be building out on top of the AMM, all the other utilities that we're seeing as well. So I think it's a very exciting time. Now, we just got clarity. It's been a historic year. We got that massive historical ruling from Judge Torres. The XRP in and of itself is not a security. So your thoughts on where the case is at? We just got the prediction from Stuart Alderati and Ripple for their 2024 prediction that the case will come to an end, which hopefully, please God, get us out of this dang thing and completely behind us. So your thoughts on the historical ruling and your predictions for the end of this case?
Well, of course, I love the historical ruling. As far as the likely end, I think that we're looking around June, July for this to end. And I'm taking that, not off my expertise, but really off what I've reviewed out of, the experts like Fred Rispoli and Jeremy Hogan and many of the community attorneys. But that aside, I am aware that the SEC is going after $770 million from Ripple, where the large majority of those sales are actually external to the US. So if the 97% of those sales are in a jurisdiction that the SEC has no jurisdiction over, in countries that already did not recognize XRP as a security and they declared it as a currency, then really the SEC has no case at this point. And it's really a matter of how far does Brad and how far does the Ripple team want to take this with the SEC. They could settle it probably today, if they wanted to. It probably wouldn't hurt them at all to do so. But I think that they want to get a crushing victory. And that crushing victory will probably drag on to about June.
Yeah, it's like if you're this deep in and you still got a bag, you still can afford the lawyers. Let's save our country. And that's what I'm here for. That's what I think our community's found. And what we've been about here is that this fight is much bigger than just XRP. This fight is much bigger than just crypto. Gary Gensler wants to talk about how we used to have the gold standard of capital markets. That's not the case anymore. And especially when it comes to DLT. And your thoughts on the SEC, denying Coinbase's petition for just trying to get some, common sense rulemaking regulation here, and the fact that they denied that petition. And what I love to see, not that I love everything about Coinbase, but the fact that they responded within a couple hours by suing the SEC, that is the type of energy that good Americans, and it's unfortunately the path that we have to take dealing with this bureaucracy beast and the SEC. So your thoughts on this lawsuit that Coinbase just filed?
Well, it's nice to see Coinbase show up late to the party, but at the same time, I know enough about Coinbase and have enough experience with them to know that they're going to do what's in their best interest as a company for profits, not what's in the customer's best interest. So, they of course had to be sued for other things like releasing customers Songbird and things like that. So,
Shout out to Fred Rispoli.
Yeah, shout out to Fred. Good job, Fred. So with Coinbase, it's a little bit 50-50. I can only give them a pat on the back if I get to slap them in the face at the same time. But as far as the SEC response was predictably pathetic. Nobody expected them to come back and say, "Oh yeah, we'll give you clarity because you sent us a letter." They were never going to do that. I don't expect any clarity from crypto regulation in 2024. And the reason beyond the SEC versus Ripple Labs case is simply because the Congress and the House is too preoccupied with other things between Israel, Gaza, Ukraine, Russia, coming with Taiwan, Guyana, Venezuela, the Balkans. There's just too much chaos going on in the world right now for them to put this as a priority. So just being realistic is, although this is my life and it may be your life, to the government, they don't care. This is not something they're going to pay attention to right now.
I can't help my mind immediately also went to the debauchery and I call it the DC dance. So yeah, they're busy. They are occupied, aren't they?
Yeah, they've got some pains to deal with.
Oh, God save our country. Golly. Okay, so yeah, and I agree. They're too busy debating, are we offended? We can't call it a recession. It might hurt somebody's feelings. They're touting Bidenomics has saved the country. It's working really well, according to the press secretary and Joe, whenever he does make an appearance. And so, yeah, it's been quite a show. And my predictions as we move into the macro conversation on what we expect coming in next year has been chaos just picking up from here on out through this election cycle. I think this is going to be a cycle like we've never seen before. Now, I'm just going to give you the quick summary of kind of my predictions for what's coming up this next year, and then I'll get your response on it. So my take is that we are in a black swan season. And to your point, we've already seen kind of multiple black swans playing out. It was just reported this morning, actually, that we shot down a couple dozen attack drones from Yemen just this morning. So every day we get new little skirmishes. The broader World War III events taking place is part of one black swan event. Now you got the cyber attack movie that's going viral, directed by our favorite president and his significant other. And we also have the Civil War movie that they got ready for us in 2024. April is when they're going to be releasing that film, that piece of predictive programming. So I say all that to just say that although I believe that we have begun the next bull run and we've started up, crypto's doing fantastic. And the good thing about crypto is that we dump faster. We just rip the Band-Aid off, but then we start building. And that's what we're doing. But I remain cautious because Bitcoin did a 340% bull trap rally during 2019 before we got hit with the March 2020 simulation events, and Bitcoin got taken down by 60% in 1 month.
Yep.
I see something similar in the timeline coming our way here, where we get some sort of black swan event, we get some sort of scenario, and that is going to be the excuse for the Fed to come back in with easing, come back in and drop those rates, and come back in and try to save the day as we roll into the next election cycle. So during that black swan event, during any sort of market correction like that we might see, I expect stocks and equities to pull back. And I would expect crypto to get hit just like it did in March of 2020. But then look at that V-shaped recovery. I think we have another V-shaped recovery coming in this election cycle because God forbid they allow us to have a recession. They allow us to, go to that voting booth, with the economy in shambles. So your thoughts on that prediction?
Yeah, so they're definitely propping everything up for the 2024 election. And at the same time, I expect at least 2 black swan events within the next year. um, because there's simply too many on the board as it is. So something has to give. Now, treasuries are under 4% again, and nobody's buying, and basically the US is bankrupt. We're going to have to do something with the gold. We're going to have to raise rates, drop rates. It doesn't really matter. We're kind of in a corner where no matter what the Fed does, the dollar has to fail. So essentially, how do I say this in the most YouTube friendly way?
Thank you, Patrick.
Um, the the reality right now is that anything you are going to be in aside from gold and silver is going to be turbulent for the next year. That said, I do think cryptocurrency will recover much faster if the dollar dies and XRP is still an XRP in Malaysia or Australia or wherever else in the world. I do think that Bitcoin and what it did in El Salvador and for El Salvador when they legalized Bitcoin as a currency is a model that a lot of countries are going to be eager to follow. Now, the question is XRP the number one cryptocurrency at the time that a lot of countries are feeling that pinch because the dollar is failing? That's a very possible scenario. So I position myself in XRP because I do think that it is the most likely candidate to be the future global reserve currency. I do think the dollar is going to fail, might not be this year, but it's definitely going to fail.
Yeah, yeah. And where we find ourselves now with our empire is the interest payments on our debt have now eclipsed our military expenditures and our military budget. So this is where the real inflection point, where the extent, how far extended out can we be with this empire, with our troops and the largest military known to man, which you were a part of. Thank you for your service, Patrick. And we love our troops, but we've been saying that we're broke. No matter whether you want to support this country, that country, this cause back home, whatever program you want to fund, we don't have the funds for anything, right? We are completely bankrupt and bust. We're adding about $1 trillion to our deficit every 3 months. This is truly unprecedented. And meanwhile, they're trying to tell us that everything's just fine. And
but of course they'll always tell you it's fine until they've already taken their money out of the bank, they're safe and secure, and then suddenly they don't care anymore.
Yeah.
The pundits are always going to tell you it's fine right up till the moment it's not.
Yeah, it is like Jim Cramer. I was just watching him. He says that we've avoided recession, we have achieved a soft landing, and he's making fun of the bears that we've been stuck in the bear trap. And he says, I heard that hurts, especially when you go short. Yeah. And I'm just saying, I'm not trapped. We're doing just fine over here. I shorted Bitcoin this last year. That's how I've made all my money trading. And then I dumped it into XRP. And I'm just thinking, what trap am I in? I'm liquid. I got my bags. And if we do go back with the money printer, they turn it back on, money printer's going to go burr. They're going to drop rates, and we get inflation coming back. I don't want to be in the S&P 500. What am I going to expect? Another 10, 20% from an S&P 500? Best case scenario? Yeah. If we're going to turn back on the money printers and have a party, I'd rather be in crypto where I can get a 10x or more. And so that's kind of my thinking with my position. I'm not here to be anybody's financial advisor. My strategy is just very simple. I got my silver on one side of my portfolio for savings. And even though we could see significant price appreciation in silver, just like we saw gold break out to all-time high, we saw silver break out once again. We'll see how much longer they can keep these assets suppressed. I put XRP into the same camp of suppressed assets. But on one side of my portfolio, I keep it safe with the precious metals. On the other side, I'm not interested in a 5% return. To your point, I thank you very much. I'm not going to do a deal with the devil and get a 4% on my bond. Thank you very much, but I'm going to pass because the real rate of inflation is much higher than that 4%, even though they're touting that it's down to 3% with the CPI lie manipulated data, right? Yeah. So your thoughts on that, on where does the regular person protect their wealth obviously you're not a financial advisor either, but you have a fund and some wealth there to manage within what you're doing with Reaper. Any other points that you would make on the average person protecting and building their wealth right now?
Well, without getting into the things we can't talk about on YouTube, what people need to understand is that since 1913, there has been a progressive march towards absolute control of your labor and of your wealth. So not only did, they take the gold with Executive Order 6102 back in 1933, but they, gold backed the dollar, which they then reversed and said, "Oh, no, it's fiat," in 1971. But we also have taxation, right? And taxation today is about 40% of your income. But then once you actually get the money, you have sales tax and you have inflation, which is a tax, and you have interest rates on the loans for the things that you need to survive, to move forward in life. If you need to buy a house, your interest rate might be 8% on that house or whatever it is right now. Even at a lower interest rate, on a $300,000 house over 30 years, you're still paying about $750,000. So you paid realistically over 100% on top. And if we're saying that your mortgage is 20% or 25% of your income, well, guess what? That was another tax. So at the end of the day, most Americans right now today are taxed at almost 100%. You keep nothing of your labor. You keep nothing of your work to give to your children. Most people are paycheck to paycheck, and they still have property taxes. They still have all these other ways of taking what you earned back, and it all floats to the top. And what most Americans have been relying on is Social Security, which has been a scam. It's bankrupt by 2032 right now. And their 401ks and the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ and these things. So what the Fed does is the Fed prints money that it uses to go out and buy equities to prop up those equities. The owners of those companies that the equities belong to, or the senators that are becoming millionaires while they're sitting in the Congress doing, God knows what, things for no one's eyes. They're pulling their equities when it's convenient. They're selling their shares, because what they're really doing is they're pulling your money out of your 401k by selling their shares to increase their wealth. And at the end of the day, when this whole thing comes crashing down, because there is no more leverage to take out of the American people, you can't be in debt to 110%. You don't have the ability to borrow anymore because your debt to income ratio is not enough. AI starts pushing people out of the workforce. The reality is they've milked us dry. That's where we're sitting right now in this country. We are milked dry. And eventually they're going to pull the rug and say, "Oh, we've got all your wealth. We've got all your 401ks. We've got all the gold. We've got all the things that matter. We're going over there." And they're going to leave us here to collapse. That's exactly what has happened throughout history over and over and over again. It's exactly what's going to happen to the United States. There will be a collapse. We are going to go through that.
And so I guess that ties into your 2024 election prediction. Are we even going to have an election? Is Donald Trump going to walk back in? What do you expect?
It doesn't matter who wins. I know there's a whole lot of diehard Trump people out there and maybe 10 Biden fans, but the reality is Trump's probably coming back. I do expect he'll pick Haley as his VP, and I know people will give me hate for saying that, but Haley has the endorsement of IPAC and the Israeli lobby, and I don't want to get you kicked off YouTube, but that's about 20 or 30% of the vote. So that's all going to be on the Trump side. And
you think he's going to pick Nikki Haley as VP?
Yep.
Oh man.
Unfortunately.
That would play into him adding all of the swamp creatures to his cabinet when he was president, right? Yep. Like the whole time, and we all thought it was 5D chess. Like, okay, maybe he's just putting these guys in here who know the deal so that they can help, unwind this thing.
The problem is it was 6D chess, not 5D chess. I don't think that Trump is on our side or ever was, if I'm being completely honest. Um, and obviously Biden is not the ticket either. So when I say it doesn't matter who wins 2024, I mean, it really doesn't matter. Some of you might know this, but I ran for president for 2024. When I did that, I did press releases, which went to about 440 mainstream news media outlets, of which exactly zero put the story into a front page, exactly zero called for comment, exactly zero sent an email. They all put it up on their website somewhere, but they did not put me out in front as a candidate. Now, why is it that way? Well, actually, there's about 2,000 presidential candidates in 2024, of which you've heard of 10 to 20 of them. So that means that the United States media, which we're not going to say who they're controlled by, but the United States media is selecting who you get to vote for. That's the reality. Mm-hmm. If Trump was the guy that was coming to save us, you wouldn't even know it, because you wouldn't have heard that, hey, Trump's running again. They wouldn't be running all this interference, reverse psychology, propping him up as the poster child who's been abused by the state to come back and win. And as we know, if 2020 was, I'll say, taken, then that would mean 2024 would absolutely be taken as well, because the person that took it is sitting in office. So to think that the person who lost can come back without control is silly. So the reality is it's all a game. We've been set up. People are going to be very compliant with their new incoming Donald Trump 2.0, but that doesn't mean he's coming to save you.
Yeah, I think that was something that I put down on the record a while ago. Is ever since he left the office, as I predicted that he would be back, and I've maintained that position. And I try to reiterate for the audience, it's not a matter of supporting Trump or not, or liking the guy, or whether you're offended by him or not. I've just been putting it down on the historical record as a prediction that I do think he will be coming back. And as we're seeing play out, now he's being vindicated on all these things. He's been right on all these things. And he's really, he's got his own mugshot now. So it's been set up perfectly. And as we've always said, all the world's a stage. You're starting to see the actors, they leave for a couple acts, but then they come on back. And so, yeah, the main point has always been, though, is I've said that the greatest transfer of wealth in world history, I believe, started, some would say it started during Obama, but it definitely accelerated under Trump.
COVID.
And I believe that he's going to come back and kind of finish it off, but it doesn't mean you're going to get on the right side of the transfer of wealth.
Yeah,
the divide between the haves and the have-nots will only grow. And what he did by cutting taxes, reducing regulation, did spur business activity. It was great, and it was in particularly really good for the most wealthy too. They loved it.
Yeah. He did everything right to get very popular, but everything he did behind the scenes for that 2% that mattered more than the 98% we could see, he failed, right? So the border wall didn't get built. The $9 trillion printed during COVID, allowing the COVID vaccine to be pushed forward, which he calls himself the father of the vaccine, and he pushed Operation Warp Speed. Now, the only way any of his actions and failures are justifiable is, well, the conspiracy theorists, and I'm not downgrading you if you are one. I'm just saying you have to think that there's some sort of very extravagant plan going on behind the scenes, and a lot of people think that, and that's what a lot of his very virulent believers and supporters think. There was a book written about 2,000 years ago that talks all about someone coming in who will be virulently supported after being oppressed, and he'll come back and bring peace to the Middle East and build a temple. So we'll see what happens.
And they were literally intercepting rockets above the Al-Aqsa Mosque just the other day. So yeah, you're spot on. And the thing is, here's the point, guys. I always said this, doesn't matter who you're voting for, who you want to believe in. if you believe in yourself and you continue to take action and get a real strategy, get connected with our communities. Obviously, Patrick's working on something. We're working on something too. And together, you know, no matter who's elected, I started my business, my first one, under Obama's term. It wasn't Obama that started that business for me. It was myself willing to take that leap of faith. And that's where everyone needs to find that energy to take massive action during this time. The transfer of wealth is already underway. It's going to be completed out over the next decade or so, especially the fourth industrial revolution with digital assets. It's a big part of it. And, you know, I guess in conclusion, I'll add this point. I've been noticed, it's an observation, 2 data points. The central banks are buying more gold than they have in the last 50 years. And the central banks are meeting with the company Ripple more so than any other company out there in the digital asset space, by far. And
Yeah,
we already have multiple projects that are on the CBDC platform that Ripple built on the private version. We also have Palau, which did theirs on the public mainnet. And so it's just 2 data points. They're picking up a boatload of gold, over 1,000 tons picked up this year, only the second time that's been done in recent times. And they're also meeting and sitting down at the table with Ripple. And I believe that XRP, as they stated in 2017, is going to be a world reserve currency. And I believe that after we get this AMM that makes our DEX even more efficient, you're going to be able to source out the best liquidity in the world on the XRP ledger. Servicing as a neutral bridge currency, I mean, it could solve world peace. I mean, we could stop all these wars, the currency, the commodity wars, but we know that that's not in their agenda. That's not within their plans. And where the dust settles on the other side, I think is pretty simple. It's real assets. And what I'm doing right now is I'm stacking utility with no counterparty risk. That's silver in my vault. That's XRP in my, I would say ledger. Ledger's having their issues now. XRP in my cold storage solution. And so it's utility with no counterparty risk, running my own businesses, right? My own income is getting out of reliance on any president, on anybody else saving us, and being self-sustainable, being tapped in with a community of like-minded individuals. I want to give a shout out to you, Patrick, for what you've been building out over there. Any final predictions on the 2024 bull run, other than you've already stated, XRP eventually surpasses Bitcoin? Whether or not it will do it this bull run, we'll see. Any other predictions you want to throw in there before we close it out?
I predict, I'm going to throw out a price. Don't hate me for this, but I do predict $22 or higher for our next peak for XRP. And I think there's a very good chance we stay over $10 even in the next bear market.
Wow. Wow. There you have it, folks. That's exactly what I needed. XRP surpasses Bitcoin, and we can throw the $22 in there. That's perfect.
I am not a financial advisor. Take care of yourself, save yourself, take care of your family, and, you know, have a little bit of love for your neighbor.
Amen. Amen. And where can people find you, Patrick, and everything that you guys are doing within your ecosystem?
So we have multiple websites now, but if you go to reaper.financial, it'll link you to all of them. Our other Ascension one is ascensionindex.com, and we have arc.institute. And then you can also find us on Twitter on PLR_2024, or the Reaper coin is at the Reaper coin.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much again for joining us today, Patrick. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to keep watching your project, one of the few on the XRPL that's really standing out. And so just continue the great work. A huge shout out to all of your team as well. And you guys already know the deal. I picked up Reaper for the first time after our first interview, Patrick. So you guys know the deal. I don't pick up many coins, and I try to be the most transparent with you guys. I don't pick up a coin and then we do an interview and try to pump it. Like Patrick was talking about with some of these other influencers that are a little bit more shady with those practices. I did an interview with you, Patrick, learned about your project, learned who you were, and I immediately gained a lot of respect for you, not only for your service for the country, but just your views on saving the country and building out some real utility on the XRPL. And so after I aired that first interview with you, that's when I went and bought some Reaper. I am going to probably go pick up some Ascension, maybe some ARC too. I'll see how many extra shekels I got left. And I'm definitely probably going to be picking up a couple, but that is not financial advice. I just respect Patrick as a friend, respect him as a builder in this community, and this is what we love to see in the XRP Ledger ecosystem. So it's been an absolute pleasure on the way out, guys. If you could like this video, we'd greatly appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss our updates, and everything can be found at my website, zachrector.com. We will see you guys in the next one. God bless you all.
God bless.